8 years who he had strokes and he was just rich and liked to be around beautiful.
In this episode, we will talk about becoming a sex worker at a young age. Not necessarily encouraging this as a profession, just want to let y'all know that. And at the same time, sharing her life as it is, regardless of what people say. We'll dive right into Amy Taylor's courageous story, where she is telling her truth and being real, regardless of how society tells her to. Be sure to listen in for all the details. Hello, my wonderful beasties. It's Tina, your host. Welcome to the Courageous Inner Beast, the place where no fucks, no shits are given as we women are sharing our courageous stories. Taking up space and showing up is what we do best. So sit tight, listen up, and let's dive in. Today we have Amy Taylor. Hey, Amy, please introduce yourself.
Hi, it's so good to see you. Yeah, I loved your podcast. I had my assistant reach out and pester you because I think what you're doing is really brave and it's important. And as a person who's done a lot of things that women shouldn't do, some of the mistakes, some of them have been fabulous. Uh, and I remain unabashedly pretty unsorry, even about my big mistakes. I think they make me human. I think we all are. And so I wanted to link up with you because I've watched a lot of your stuff, and I think you're sort of digging for the kernel of honesty and authenticity in a world that so often isn't. And as you've said, shows you've done and shows you've hosted, so many of us, we suffer if we're authentic because there's a lot of
Mhm.
rewards to being a performer. Uh, and we'll get into it as the ways in which I've had to be performative and I've reaped the benefits. And I think, yeah, I'm in my 40s now, and there became the like zero fucks given thing. And
Yes.
there kind of became this like little twisted desire of I want to make people a little uncomfortable because I want them to be brave to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Because it's freeing and it lets other people do it. And then you find out it's often not as big of a deal as you thought it was. Some
Yeah.
stuff is, but a lot of stuff isn't. My mother used to say, you'll worry less about what other people think of you when you realize they don't.
Because they usually always think about like what they need to do for themselves. Like, oh,
Sure.
that. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. They have their own problems and their own life.
Yes.
That said, some people have been curious about the rather strange life I've lived that we'll talk about, and I think it can be a cautionary tale. I think it hopefully is a story of redemption and tolerance in the face of I've fucked up in pretty much every way a woman can, but I've also had a ton of fun and survived. And I think yeah, all of our stories are the patchwork that is interesting. So I love that you're telling them one by one. I really like it.
Thank you, Amy. And I really appreciate, yeah, like that's what it is. 'Cause at least for us women, we always been told like how to walk and how to talk every single day. And we're like, okay, can you just shut up, please, and just let us do our thing? Like we want to when we want to live the world unapologetically and just do our thing, be authentic as we can be, because
Yep.
who gives a fuck what people think? Because as long as we live true to ourselves and not hurting people on purpose, we're good. Like, we're
Yeah,
good.
that's sometimes hard to please everybody. You
Yeah.
talk about being a recovered people pleaser. I certainly have been too. I was the ballet and piano little European kid who, my father was of a different generation where women were subordinate to men.
Yeah.
Not a bad guy, but it was what it was then. And so I've certainly struggled with my people pleasing, and I've seen how much the world used to reward that. I love that it's changing. I love that like
Yes.
younger women, oh, it's so great to watch like my young neighbors here in New York City, like they're so much more empowered than we were. I just turned 48, and within my lifetime, women could not get a credit card or a loan without a male cosigner. That's within
Right.
my lifetime. You had to obey men, or you were condemned to poverty. You would live with your parents. If you had children, they were not going to survive well. Being a single
Mm-hmm.
mother was the worst financial position to end up in. So it was your job to obey men and hopefully please one enough to get the ring and get survival.
Yeah.
It was literally your job. And
And
so
and it was also like they were if considered like the smarter one out of us. And it only can be the only one to make the decisions where we have to be subordinate and just like, oh yes, you're the smart one, I'm the dumb one. That's
yes.
all it is. And it was like, no, that's not the case.
Well, deep down, there are
Mhm.
so many rewards for the things that are ascribed to masculinity. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
pilot, and every time somebody finds that out, They are more impressed because that's considered a male job. We're 6% female now, 94% male. It is mostly men. It used to be something you had to be a little physically stronger to do before hydraulics and fly-by-wire. So, but now you can be small and you can fly. It's not like it used to be, but when you tell a man you shoot guns, they think you're cooler because you're doing something men do. So all the things that men do, they get paid more, they're physically bigger, those are considered better. And so men internalize this idea that they are better. Their parents tend to be prouder when they have a son. Again, not everywhere, not everybody, nothing's a monolith, people don't
Yeah.
act. But but you know, the things that are ascribed to women's labor are underpaid or unpaid, right? Childcare, elderly care, you know, teachers don't make enough, nurses didn't used to, they finally do now. There's most women's jobs are not taken as seriously, they're not considered to be as difficult. All of that is wrong, of course, but correct. Most men deep down believe that they are better. And the problem with that is when they're confronted with the cognitive dissonance of reality that women are pretty fucking great when they get to know them, and they all get to know women. They have
Yeah.
mothers, even if they hate them, then they fall in love with a woman, even if they hate her. The beauty is then they have daughters. And when men have daughters, they often experience for the first time a selfless love of a woman that is not attached to free labor or sexuality or anything. And then they start to finally see a woman as a human being. They finally want her to live her dreams. Now, there are some men who are so horribly sexist, they still want their own daughter to be some other guy's property. That does exist. But
Yeah.
most men, when they have a daughter, they suddenly realize they would like her not to be a slave to men. They'd like her not to be subordinate and weaker and dependent. And that
Yeah.
is a funny mental gymnastics that you'll see in even the most ardently sexist men, is that they want their daughter to be okay.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's beautiful to witness because they sort of struggle with, you know, how can I be a sexist and superior when my daughter she deserves a full expression of a human life just like men. So yeah, I think God should give all sexist men daughters because it's a great thing to watch them struggle mentally with that. When they are confronted with the truth that women are pretty fucking great and often stronger, often just as intelligent or even more so, then the deep insecurity that comes with that, thinking, well, I was told I was better, but in these ways I'm not, that's a very difficult mental wrestling to do.
Yeah.
But truly, most men have never had to obey a woman. The only woman they ever had to obey was their mother and perhaps a few teachers or, you know,
Or maybe
nuns,
grandmother too, if they're
maybe, right?
yeah,
Sorry, elderly relatives.
yeah.
But very few men have worked for a woman CEO. Now, again, that's changing, but that's very recent.
Yeah.
Women have only had little garbage, low paid jobs for about 40 years and high paid jobs of seriousness for like 20 years, maybe. And we're
Yeah.
not even close to equal in net worth or income. We're not even close. And that's in the first world. In most of the world, women are still property,
Yeah.
chattel, uneducated, totally dependent on men. So most men have never seen what it's like
Yeah.
to be inferior status wise to a woman. They've never seen it. They've
Yeah.
never experienced it. I've asked many of them when they're sexist, when was the last time you were subordinate to a woman? And the answer is usually pretty much never. So they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And that's a problem of, you know, society. And some of them are very angry these days because they don't want to lose that. But some of the best ones, so my sister makes more than her husband these days. Not a
Yeah.
lot. It changes. They're both self-employed.
Yeah.
And he says, I love knowing that my wife is not dependent on me because I know that she actually wants and loves me because she could leave, right?
Yeah. There's
I
like
don't.
there's not sense of a control in that. And then like it's more not equal 50-50, but she still has the power to leave if she wants to
Yeah.
versus like the
So she
sense of
stays.
control is not there.
Correct. So he knows that she actually wants him and he likes
Yeah.
it. So he's a good dude, and they're totally partners. They share, and
Yes.
some years are, you know,
Yeah. As
over the
any relationship as it may be. Yeah. Yeah.
it's way better. And I'm hoping and praying for a world in which that is the future, that people just share things that they're good at and
And then
finances go
just
up.
like just the creating that balance in between those two versus like one has to be the one who's always one and the other one has to be always be one. Like it has to be, it doesn't always have to be black and white thinking.
Correct.
Yeah.
For men who are very wealthy, which is who I served as a high-end companion, they know that they've achieved either through luck or talent or both or birth usually.
Yeah.
They their thing that they've got to give is they're a good provider. They got money and power
Yeah.
and connections. And so they are not looking for a financial partner. They don't need it.
Yeah.
Uh, and those kind of men will always exist. They're incredible providers for lots of reasons of success. And so they tend to be looking for somebody who can do all the other stuff because they don't have time, who can be very beautiful, grit on their arm for status. They're very status conscious in the upper class. So they tend
Yeah.
to, and that's fine. That's just a different thing, but that's an incredibly small minority. Most
Yeah.
people are partners and
Yeah.
share duties,
Yeah.
especially.
Does that tie into, I know the story that we wanted to share with you. Does that tie into what your story is today? I realized I forgot to go into that.
No, it's okay. We can get into, so yeah, when I was in college, I went to Berkeley undergrad, started a year early. And it was great. I was a professor's kid. I am a professor's kid. My dad's retired now. So we had a lot of class. I speak French and my dad's from Europe, but we didn't have any money. He
Yeah.
taught at a state school. When we would vacation, we would stay with relatives and fly coach with like four connections. And it was like fancy poverty. Like we were not rich at all, but we seemed classy because the way you speak and present
Yes.
when you're in academia, right?
Yeah.
But so I was decent looking and I was a little classy. So very quickly, fancy guys liked me. Even in high school, the richest, most popular boy, he liked me. And in college, I'm super broke. I'm on scholarship at Berkeley. I candy striped at a hospital before I realized I was too stupid to pass organic chemistry and my med school dreams were going to end. I studied biology and I met this doctor in the ER. He was just finishing med school. And yeah, he was a more fun date. He was 10 years older. So he was older, but he wasn't like 90. And the frat boys were like, I'm not even going to buy you breakfast after trying to fuck you. And he was like, do you want to go to the opera or go to Hawaii for a week? I mean, who would you pick? I picked him. And he was cute to me. Some of my sorority sisters were like, ew, he's too old. You're at this time like 18, 19. He's 28. It's gross. But I didn't think he was gross. I thought he was brilliant and nice. And yes, I did like it that he could take me to nice dinners. I did. So like a lot of good-looking chicks who wanted a little bit of a nicer life, I picked the guy who had a good job over the guys who were students. And so I was kind of like a sugar baby. He paid for everything. And then he moved me out of my sorority house because men can't spend the night in sorority houses. Tradition, they're not allowed. So he kept booking hotel. He lived in an adjacent town about 80 miles away toward Tahoe. And we got sick of him staying in hotels when he came to Berkeley. So he got me this little apartment in Emeryville. And so he could stay over and he paid for it. It was gorgeous little studio, but with a view of the Bay Bridge. I loved that apartment. I should have bought it. And so, yeah, I quickly became financially dependent on him, but I did love him. It was, yeah, I liked his success. It was part of what he had to offer. And I'm sure that he liked that I was 10 years younger. He was eyeballing me to make babies for him and all that stuff.
He's like, I'm ready, Amy, I'm ready.
Yeah, and he liked him young. He ended up marrying somebody a couple years younger than me even. She wasn't a loser. She was a physician. So, but
Yeah.
he liked him young. So I was his type. He was my type. And then I graduate. I go work in biotech in Marin County. Before I graduated, a sorority sister had mine had told me about high-end companionship. We went to summer school the same summer, and her parents had gotten divorced, and her dad was really fucking her mom over in the divorce financially. So she had to move out of our sorority house. She couldn't afford anything. And then that summer, she got a car, not a great one, but like I was like, oh, is your dad like being more fair to you guys? And she confessed, no, she was a high-end escort. And she told me she'd go over the Bay Bridge and have dinner with some rich tech dork who was too busy to date. And sometimes there was physical stuff. Usually there wasn't. And she'd come back home with a few $1,000. And I was like, wait, I'm like, that's what I do for free with this doctor. And so I admit my first impression of it was very high-end privileged. It was too perfect because it's not all like that. There's a lot that's problematic and abusive and terrible. But I didn't see that. I thought, oh, it's just dating with some guy who helps you with your rent. And because he's not interested in like being your husband, right?
Yeah,
Which sounds great to
were you
me.
talking about your doctor, the one who like who was 10 years older originally? He wasn't part of the high-end class companion. He was
No,
just a person that you would.
he was dating me and paying for everything. She was doing this more less formal thing of like dating two or three or four of them, and they would
Uh,
like directly give her cash. And they weren't a true boyfriend. They would just call when they wanted to date. But she said she saw some for months and months and months. But it's she was an escort. There was no promise of marriage and love and
yeah.
commitment. My boyfriend was making all kinds of promises, which did not work out at all, of course,
Wait,
because
what happened with him?
most people break up, and of course we did. So
Hmm.
so I kind of filed that away in my head, like, oh my God, this is a thing you could do when you're like pretty but I didn't do it because I had the rich boyfriend paying for everything. I didn't need it, but I was kind of wowed by it. I was because I just never heard of that. So he and I start dating. I work in biotech. I find out I'm a pretty mediocre scientist and I don't actually like it. I killed a lot of mice. I just killed mice all day because that's when
No,
you
not the mices.
oh,
No.
I was a murderer. And I was working on Alzheimer's and Parkinson's related diseases like oxidative stress. Very intellectually interesting, but entire days would go by. I wouldn't see another human being. I was very lonely. The lab was beautiful. I was also deeply underpaid. I was spending money to do that job on gas and rent and I wasn't living like I live now. I would just had this studio and I had help from my boyfriend and it still wasn't enough. I made 29 grand a year before taxes. That didn't even cover like my car and my phone and my it wasn't enough to live in San Francisco in the year 2000. So, I was like, shit, this is all I'm qualified to do with a degree in molecular biology. I'm only qualified to be a lab scientist and I hate it and I'm not that good at it. Like, what now? So I pivoted. I applied to business schools and because I needed another ticket to open up other job
Like, did you get your
possibilities.
MBA from that
I
too?
did. So I didn't get in anywhere in Northern California,
Yeah.
only got in down in LA.
Hmm.
Honestly, I kind of wanted to live in LA. I got into UCLA undergrad. My parents wouldn't let me go that far away and they didn't give me as much scholarship money, but I kind of wanted to live like palm trees, warm weather, pretty
Yeah.
people. I did, honestly. And so the plan was he would pay for everything. I'd go down there for 2 years and then I'd come back. We'd get married, babies, blah, blah, blah. We didn't make it. He slept with somebody else while I was down there.
Oh, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Oh.
guys. But honestly, it was my ticket to break up with him. And
Mm.
I kind of
But
looking back,
like you already knew in your mind or like this not
I mean,
gonna
I
work.
was sad. I loved him. It had been my only boyfriend. I lost my virginity to him. It was seven
Yeah.
years by that time. It was
7 years? Oh, you were already with him for seven
by
years?
this time now, I'm 25 years, 24.
Yeah.
It's like 2002. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, of course I loved him. But I also was starting living in LA, tasting freedom. There was a 10% of me that was like, I kind of maybe don't want to just become a wife in a small town near Lake Tahoe and
Like already at this age, perhaps.
right. I wanted to make my own money. I kind of wanted to fuck a few other guys. I mean, boy, did I. I didn't plan on that many, but yeah, I did a lot of that. And honestly, I'm not sorry. It was really fun. I'm fine. I was safe. I never caught a disease. It was great. It was super fun. I went to orgies and I had threesomes and I slept with women and it was awesome.
Awesome.
And all of you who are mad, cry more. Honestly, you should get laid because you'd hate it. You'd be less jealous and less mad at me. So I was young. You do these, everybody does these, not everybody, but if you want to, it's fine as long as you're safe and you don't hurt people. And I didn't.
Hmm.
So we break up. The problem was he yanks the financial rug out from under me. He takes my car. He stops paying for business school. What should I have done? I probably should have dropped out of business school and gotten a job in biotech somewhere in Southern Cal. That's what I was all I had, right? I didn't want to. I just didn't want to. So remembered what this sorority sister told me, and I was like, you know what? I'm brokenhearted over this guy. I don't want to be serious with anybody for a while. I want to be free. I've been in a relationship since I was just before 18 years old. I want to fuck some other people and I need some income. So I'm going to do that. And so I looked around on the burgeoning internet. This is like 2002, 2003. And none of these agencies in LA would hire me. They all hired actresses and models, and I'm just some grad student, right? But she told me, you don't need anybody else. This is just dating. It's like Match.com, except the guys are rich and you don't get to become their wife usually. Although I do know hundreds of retired escorts who've married their clients, and some of them are 10 years in with kids, but that's typically not what's going on. So as long as you're okay with no commitment, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted freedom. So
Yeah.
win-win. So she's like, you can do this yourself. You get some pictures and an email and a phone, and it's like you set up a profile like on dating sites, and the understanding is that they will help you out because you're a young broke grad student. And rich guys are totally fine with that. They're happy to help you have a decent apartment and a car. And so I did, and promptly it was amazing. My first client was a billionaire. I saw him for 12 years. He's almost passing away now, but he was lovely, and we're still friendly. The second one was a Hollywood agent. We went all over the world.
Yeah.
The third one was a cop.
Wait, so does that mean for all three
That
of them,
sucked.
like, like, do you see them like only one at a time, or like simultaneously? Like you said, your friend.
You're single, so if one wants to see you Friday night and the other one wants to see you the next Friday night, you're not anybody's wife.
Yeah, like
And
you can
same
choose.
for,
Like you can choose whatever it
yeah,
is.
you have two or three boyfriends, and they might have two or three girlfriends. You don't really ask.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hear about it, but they're
Yeah.
not my boyfriend. They're not my husband.
Yes.
Understanding is that it's an open relationship. Now, some people want more exclusivity. Guys will kind of buy you out. And like I said, I know people who ended up married.
Yeah.
That's not typical. But it happens a lot.
Yeah.
Everything happens. Some people just see you once and never see you again because they just wanted to meet you. That happens too. I usually tried to deny those kind of guys because I wasn't really into guys who liked a lot of variety. It's also a safety issue. If they're doing that much volume, there's more increased risk of STD,
Yes.
even with condoms. So, and you're not sleeping with everybody too. I saw a Hollywood writer for like 8 years who he had had strokes and he was just rich and liked to be around beautiful people. He had more money than God. He had no interest in touching you. That happens a lot. Not everybody's trying to have sex, but some are, but it's dating. It's just dating. And society makes it really awful because at the low end, like trafficked and drugs and street-based stuff, it is very abusive and very dangerous. But the high end is pretty boring, actually. It's just pretty girls and rich guys dating. That's all. That's honestly, it's I think the reason people are interested in the high end is they just are interested in that world, private jets and fancy stuff. And I saw a lot of all that. I'll never be rich enough to have a jet, but I've been on many, and yeah, it's nicer. It's way nicer. It's terrible for the environment, and it's absurdly fancy. It almost feels obscene, honestly. I'm kind of okay that I'll never be that rich, but it's cool that I saw it. Great, good for them, you know?
Yeah. Like you were able to experience it, and then you're like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's nice. It's great. But
Yeah.
I would never be willing to work hard enough, and I'm also not smart enough and not driven enough. I'm too lazy. I like to sleep and go to the dog park, and I will always be solidly upper middle class, and that's where I'm comfortable. But it's been
Yeah.
interesting to meet these kinds of men. These titans of industry are so fucking brilliant.
Yeah. What
I
have you
would have,
learned so far from just being in like they're in their own industry to like learning from them and stuff like that?
oh, I mean, I would have paid to have dinner with them. They're so smart, and their stories are fascinating, and their lives are amazing in good and bad ways. A lot of them are very compulsive, so sometimes they're sober because they struggled with drugs or alcohol because the
Hmm.
compulsion pointed in the direction of work that turns you into a CEO. They
Hmm.
tend to be compulsive about everything. Like they'll be like marathon runners, or they'll have six or seven wives over the course of their life, or they're compulsive people. It's like the opposite of ADD.
Yeah.
They get locked on something and man, they do it. And that personality trait is real common in the highly successful. Uh, they just have this hyper focus, which is amazing, pointed in the right direction. They do great things, but they are very difficult to deal with. And they also don't marry, middle class
Yeah.
professional kids. They marry like the Kennedy's daughter because they're very status conscious. Like they know that their status matters. So they might have fun with the side piece, but
They don't want any kind of like scandals or anything like that. Just
not
they're like,
typically. Although when
yeah.
they get caught having multiple women, no one cares because it's pretty normal in that world. The rich
Yeah.
on earth all have multiple women. The wives know if they're married. Sometimes you catch them in the middle of between marriages because
Hmm.
one wife left and they're kind of when they were married and lying, which I tried to avoid, but I did see two or three men who were married and just straight lying to the wife. That felt bad.
Or like the wife didn't know at all, like when you were hanging
Correct.
out with them. Mm.
Yeah, and they tell a lot of lies about how they're not happy and she isn't nice to them, and it's always a lie. You find out because a couple times the wives have called me and it hurts and you feel like shit. once they find out you were, so the husband always lies and says it's an affair because he doesn't want to say he paid for it. And when they find out you were a companion that they were paid for, they are much less angry at you because they
Yeah.
realize you're not trying to marry their husband.
Yeah.
You're not trying, but other women do. When rich men, there are thousands of women a day trying to
Wait, so
become.
there's a difference between, I guess in the women's perspective, when you're when it's not an affair versus you're getting paid for it. What is
Yeah,
your experience with that? Like, why is there the mindset is shifted because
well,
of
they're
that?
still not happy, and then they get real mad
Mm,
about the money. They want to know how much, and they want to, yeah,
mm.
no, because community property laws, right?
Wait,
Half that
so does that mean that they prefer affairs over like getting being paid? Or
they
what is it?
they're less angry if it's a sex worker
Mm,
because they know you don't want their husband.
yeah,
Well, you wouldn't because we meet them and we already know he's a nice guy. He pays me. I can pay for food and shelter, but I know he's a liar. So as much as it's a nice person to work for who treats me well and I'm fond of them and care about them,
yeah,
I would never trust them enough to give them my whole life.
yeah.
And
That's
honestly, they
understandable.
probably
Yeah.
wouldn't trust me either. I agreed to be a side piece, so they know that I have questionable morals when I need money. So they so it's a boss, not a love.
Yeah.
Although very intimate relationship, it's like your hairdresser times 10. You get to know each other so well. There is great fondness. I've dealt with a lot of older men, so many of them get old and die. That's part of the deal when you deal with older men. And so of course I cared about them. But did I want to become the next wife? No, never. Zero. So the wife is, but that said, you still went to the Maldives diving with the chick's husband for a week and he lied about where he was, and she's not happy. And then technically, legally, half the money he spent on you, community property laws, half that money was not his to spend, right?
Mm,
By marriage laws, half that money belongs to her. That's the law.
yeah.
So what happens if the wife leaves is that the guy has to usually pay a lot more than the divorce settlement to account for the money he spent on various women.
Yeah.
They do forensic accounting. The wife finds it all. She finds every trip to Cartier and Rolex and every fucking thing he bought. And usually, every single time I was one of several. They don't just date you. They have one in London, one in Paris, one in
Yeah.
LA, one in yeah. These
It's just
guys.
like the convenience of like if they go to a certain location, there's already one there versus trying to fly your
Yeah,
one side chick to go to certain locations. Yeah.
they tended. So I grew up skiing, and
Yeah.
I grew up scuba diving. So I did get carted to trips because a lot of them, when they found out I could ski and I can ski really well, they were like, "Ooh, I can like." Go skiing for a week with my bros, but I can also bring her and then I have the hot chick after skiing at night, right? So I did, that was kind of a value added thing that actually made me millions because I could ski. Like the escorts who could golf, they stay paid because guys love nothing more than a hot chick who's not demanding of them and can golf. I
Yes.
really wish I had been a good golfer. It would have helped a lot. But hey, that said, most of them were single and just have a lot of money and not a lot of time. And sometimes you found out like there were a couple over the years that I would have loved to have dated, but they wouldn't have dated me. They dated high class women with billionaire fathers. They don't
Yeah.
date chicks like me. And that can hurt knowing that this guy's happy to give you some bucks to hang out with you, but you'll never be like good enough. That can
Yeah.
but you learn your place and it's actually good because it's humbling when you think your looks when you're young and pretty are so powerful and then you realize there are limits on that power that status will always trump it.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's fine. It's good. Keeps you humble.
Yeah.
I've learned that marriage is very difficult. People have differing sex drives. It's very hard when the man wants sex 3 or 4 times a week and the woman wants it 3 or 4 times a month. Whose needs take precedence? He
Yeah.
doesn't want to be a rapist
Yeah.
forcing her. She doesn't want to deny him, but whose needs come first? It's hard, right?
Yeah. It is hard
Some
because
people open up their marriages. That's becoming very common as we all live a long time and we get married in our 20s and we live to be 100,
yeah.
110. Although people aren't doing a lot of fucking after about 80, but some are, but most are not.
Yeah.
The health falls off. But that is, what do you do when you have differing needs? I don't know. I don't have great answers for what married people can do because they usually really love each other and they
Yeah.
have kids and property, and untangling all that is a shit show.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't ever get married because I think I was too scared of all that I had seen. Marriage just didn't seem like a good idea to me.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'll be dumb in my 50s or 60s and get married. I'll call you and be like, I fell in love with a younger man, and I'm gonna, if I do that, just hit me right in the face. If I call you and I'm like, I met Chad and he's an actor and I'm gonna buy him an apartment, just be like, Amy, no.
Don't do it, Amy. Don't do
Right,
it.
right,
No, you
right.
already seen everything. Don't do it.
Don't be, I mean, but it's seductive if you, I'm not rich enough to support somebody, sadly.
Yeah.
I can support myself. I think I'll be okay. I'm not going to be able to live in Manhattan forever. It's too expensive, but
Yeah.
I cannot be a sugar mama. I don't
Yeah.
have. So yeah, what have I learned? It's amazing how much people can love somebody and also lie to them and also cheat on them.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen women who've cheated on. I don't know what to make of that. And I think human relationships are so complex. And I think even people leading with their best instincts and trying to be kind, they sometimes hurt people. And how we give each other the grace when we fuck up.
Yeah.
I was in the closet about being a companion, and then I got outed. And the pain it caused my family, I really hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Thought I'd be able to hide it and retire and they'd never know, because most people get to, and I didn't get that lucky.
Yeah.
And my father said, "You're bringing shame on our family." And I was. It was awful for them. Everybody thought he was a terrible father, and he wasn't. I made my choices. And he
Yeah.
didn't understand that I was largely fine. It was literally just dating. But people
Yeah.
they don't know about escorting. They think you're like a crackhead on the side of the road at a truck stop and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And the stalker I had who outed me sent mail to my sister, and she had little kids, and she said, "Did you ever think that this person could hurt us to hurt you?" And the truth is I had not. I had not thought of that because I just wanted to have fun and make a little money and pay for grad school. And I think it's hard to go through life never scathing anyone and never being scathed. And the fact that my family circled back after not speaking to me for a little while,
Yeah.
and they still love me and they still hate what I've done. It's uncomfortable for them, so we just kind of don't talk about it, but they love me.
Yeah.
I mean, others in my extended family said Amy's not allowed to be around at Christmas and things. And my immediate nuclear family stood up and said, we're not going to do that. You're going to have to learn to accept her, flaws and all. And
Yeah.
that's a grace that, I don't deserve and I can't repay. And so I try to extend it to the people that I've known who've also not always been great to other people, because I don't think it's possible to please everybody, right?
Yeah. No, it isn't.
You're
No.
gonna you're gonna piss some people off in this world.
Yeah. You know, if it's someone, and then sometimes, yeah, you just, just give yourself grace with that too, because you're living your life how
And we
you
have chapters, right? I mean,
yeah.
not the same person. I mean, 99% of escorts, they only do it for a little while, not as long as I did.
Yeah.
I got,
Wait, how long did you do it for before you got caught on that?
well, on and off, it's been 2 decades
Hmm.
because I'd quit for a few years. I had a job in oil after my MBA, didn't need to do it, was too busy.
Yeah.
Didn't do it during the Great Recession because there was no escorting. Everybody went broke.
Yeah.
For a while, I was flying cargo and I was pretty much too busy. I'd maybe see an old client I'd known for 10 years, like once every 2 months if I was bored.
Yeah.
I fell in love a couple times, but then when I got outed, I've been branded a whore for the rest of my life. Everybody knows I've already paid the price.
Yeah.
So like when some person you've known for 10 years is like, yeah, you want to go to the Bahamas for a week? And you're like, I got no date. Because it's pretty hard to get a date when people Google you and know what you've done.
Yeah.
The only people willing to date me are the people who are also in it.
Yeah.
So sometimes after a while, it's like not even about money. It's like, this is my old friend of 10 years. And sure, who doesn't like income? But it's also, it's somebody fun to go spend some time with.
Yeah.
So, but certainly you get stuck in something when you get branded, which is why, I mean, France has these right to be forgotten laws where you can scrub Google of things. If they're older and if they really hurt you, you can make a case to delete them. We don't have that in America, and I wish we did, because we're not letting people move on. If you got a DUI,
Yeah.
thing.
It's like
Everybody's
you're
gonna
like,
click on it, and then it's going to rise to the top of Google,
yeah,
and then it's going to be the only thing people see about you,
yeah.
right?
Like you can't like once you're branded once, that's forever your life. And it's like, why? Like we could get second chances to be changing ourselves. Like we're not always it's not always straight and arrow, whatever that
It's not
thing is.
static.
Yeah.
We're living, breathing people who have chapters and changes, and it didn't used to be like that. And thank God, like some of my older clients had drug convictions when they were young and stupid, and then 30 years later, they're at a Fortune 100 company. And
Yeah.
thank God back then that didn't come up on Google because they never would have been able to get anywhere if it had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is a problem, the internet saving everything forever. And France, these right to be forgotten laws, I am assuming they will get passed here because this stuff is going to ruin everybody's life because everybody's dirty laundry is going to be out there forever. And then, it's
Yeah.
not. So
And it's
hopefully,
not fair. It's just not fair. It's not fair to something happen. Not happen, but just decisions happen and it happened, let that go and let us especially if we were to make better changes for ourselves, you
of
know?
course, if
Yeah.
and the truth is that people are not just good or bad.
Yeah.
They're both. They fuck up and they do wonderful things.
Yeah.
And, in the extreme, okay, if you're a serial killer, yeah, fuck you, bye.
Okay, yeah, no, 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 not that. Not at all. Okay, go. You
But
are
yeah, that one, okay, bye. We're not giving that guy a second. He's got to go, like, get locked up or killed. I'm fine with all that. But like, pedophiles, fine. Wood chipper, fine with me. But I don't think we need to work with those people. But matters of degree, right? If again, things like a DUI, and before there was Uber, all my friends in college got DUIs, like at UC Santa Barbara, because they drove a lot, and they all were kids in college that made, and that's not a great choice. No question, it's a mistake. But should you be unable to get gainful employment forever because of that? I say no.
yeah. Or if
So,
you were incarcerated one time and then you can never get a job again.
and then guess what? You turn back to crime, or you give up, or you commit
Yeah.
suicide, or you end up.
And then it just continues that label on you and you're like you know deep down you don't want that. But
Yes,
society keeps, like you said, the internet.
yes.
And so keeps
And
branding
some
you to that.
people are able to embrace their label, like Ian Schrager of Studio 54, convicted felon drug dealer, and then ended up building great hotels like the Mondrian in West Hollywood and many others, the Delano in Miami. He just fully embraced it. He's like, yep, this is me and flaws and all. And he's had great success being completely honest about something that's not that cool. um, I almost think sometimes when you have no shame, which I wish I had less shame. Some of these people who like are devoid of shame, it's almost like it takes the steam out of people judging you because like maybe I want to be more like that. It's like if you don't care, they can't really care because they don't have any
Yeah.
way to.
Yeah, there's no fuel to put in the fire. Like they want to add it more, but they can't because you're like, I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, well, like you said, no, in the beginning intro, no fucks given. Like, what are you gonna do? I
Yeah.
know what I am and what I've done. Like, and yeah, maybe that's freeing. I know some people think we should be more ashamed. I disagree because
I disagree too.
yeah,
Why? Why do we need to be more shameful? Like, why do we need to carry the shame around our life? We don't need that.
I
That's
haven't
like
seen it
that's
help
like
any.
wasted energy, I would say.
I agree. I think some people feel more comfortable if everybody seems more perfect, but it's just a lie, right?
Hmm.
And I feel like, fiat lux, the truth does come out usually.
Yeah,
It
it
has a
does. 100%. It will come out no matter what it
it'll
is.
come out in your body, like
Yes.
grind your teeth or hunch your, like
Yeah.
I frown in my sleep because I got stuff. But yeah, I was thinking, the nature of this podcast and our lives as women is trying to go ahead and be courageous beasts, less performative, more authentic, stand in our truth in a world that doesn't always like us when we do. Do you like you think having I think we both agree that having less shamed us, do you think some of the traumas and the stuff we've been through, do you think they can be used as fuel to make us more courageous? Or do you think we survive in spite of them? Like, because I've certainly been through my traumas, and I really try to make sure it doesn't make me an angry, insular person who doesn't trust and doesn't love, because I don't want to be her. I want to be somebody who still has an open heart and is still courageous, in spite of the fact that, yeah, some shitty stuff has happened.
I think it does. It doesn't not despite. So like the first statement you said, that I think it does fuel my courage, because with
Yeah.
my trauma, being a recovering people pleaser, I feel that like just takes me on the back end of everything. Always putting people first before me, putting myself in the back end, not worrying about what I want, what I need. Not even not It's even to the point where I don't even know what I need, what I
Mm.
want, what my desires are. And the fact that that trauma, I don't want that for other people too. Like I don't
Yeah.
want that happening to the same thing, because it hurts, because you're not knowing what you want, what you need as a recurring people pleaser. You're just existing in life. You're not
Yeah.
living in life, and just living life in the zombie form. Like you're just zombieing everywhere. And
Yeah,
so
you don't
it's,
even know who you are because you trying to be what maybe you think people will want you to be.
yeah, all the time, like how to walk, how to talk, and it's like, how can I, like, if something happens to me, no one's gonna save me but me.
This is true. I mean, truly, we do have to save ourselves instead of relying
Yes.
on other people. I I think it's when you want to please people, one of the things that happens is, yeah, you no longer know who you are. You've wrapped your identity around other people. You're a
Yes.
satellite to their
Yeah.
planet.
It's like the point
Um,
of like, also for me, for my example, is like easily adapting myself to them. Like like already, like how I talk to people, like I absorb their energy, their personality, and then I'm them.
well,
It's
that's a
this is
great skill. You'd be good at sales. I mean, well, people are affiliative and they do like somebody that they feel like is has commonalities. That's
yeah.
normal. We want to be able to connect to each other. And truly, you can learn from everybody you interact with. That's not a
Yeah.
bad thing.
Yeah.
But like, I found it very difficult as a woman because society wants us sweet and not too cunty.
Oh
And
yeah.
especially as we,
Not bitchy. Or you're like, oh, don't say that, don't say this, don't walk like that. You walk like that, no one's gonna love you no more. I'm like, oh my
Mhm.
God.
Oh, just wait till you get older and they want you to go off and be a witch and die. Yeah.
Yes. Or like we're aging so gracefully, and you're like, oh, you're getting too old. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
oh,
They're
as women, specifically women, yeah.
they're just angry that you're like not dead yet. And if you're not nice, ooh, watch out, they want to burn you. But
Yep.
that said, I think the tough thing for me has been how do I articulate boundaries in a way that's not so mean because I've been shoving it down and now I'm stubborn and angry because I've been shoving it down and then it explodes like a
Yeah.
geyser in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
The other person, because I've been being so sweet, they didn't see it coming. And they're
Yeah.
like, you're psychotic, right? Which is what women used to do, the 1950s housewife, right?
Yes.
Nice, 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 and then
Yeah.
flip out.
Yeah. And they're like, what happened to this woman that I always knew? And they're like, I've been shoving it down all this time.
Well, and how would they know when we
Yeah.
act and perform? The other person doesn't know the truth. Why would they? They're not psychic.
No.
So I found like in business, certain words help people kind of cooperate. Like when I needed to screen clients and they were like, they're just scared that they don't trust me. They don't know me. They're like, are you going to ruin my life? And I get that. And so I would say things like, I know you're a really nice guy, but I have to work to avoid the one, serial killer. And so it's different for me than you. And I'd use words like let's and we, like the way nurses do when they say, let's take our medicine. They're not taking any medicine with you. They're trying to get you to see yourselves as a team. So they
Yes.
say let's. There's no let's, it's just you taking that pill.
Yep.
Um, I know the mafia used to say, let's take a walk side by side, because when we walk side by side, we feel camaraderie and it's less aggressive than sitting directly across the table and like staring.
Yeah.
Especially, I have really intense eyes. Sometimes when I stare too much, I look like a raccoon, right? They're light and they're round. I seriously look like I'm going to start going through your trash. Um, and I know this when I stare at people, I see in their faces, they sometimes get intimidated. It's my face. I'm sorry. I look like a dominatrix. I can't help it. This is what I look like. Um, I have an intense Eastern European scary face. So I've noticed when I wanted somebody to let me be myself with boundaries, but also not terrify them or make them not want to know me at all, I would sit kitty corner at the table, They
Yeah.
sit here and I sit 90 degrees, not across.
Yeah.
Because it's less And I do think men live in a lot of fight or flight. It's that testosterone, they're ready for battle. It's what they are as creatures. And if you elicit their fight or flight, they'll make life hell for you. And
Yeah.
because they still have almost all the power in the world, you cannot just directly be awful and cunty. They will either not deal with you or they'll punish you.
Yeah. So like there has to be a balance between like being your true authentic self and being a little, I guess, your feminine energy in a sense. So like being a little bit more feminine too, in a sense too.
Well, and boundaries, I think strength should be redefined in a more
Yeah.
feminine way. I think true strength involves vulnerability. What you're
Yeah.
doing, you share your story. It makes us want to share our stories,
Yeah.
right? And and that's I don't think strength is perfection. It's not.
No.
Like you said, and then you've talked about some of the healing therapies you're doing. I wish more people would because that EMDR stuff and some of the some of those therapies are great.
Yeah. It's
Um,
it's such an eye opener for me to really tap into my memories and just like, whoa, I
it's
didn't know,
weird, right?
yeah, how my body was storing that or just suppressing all the feelings I had when I didn't
Mm.
even realize it. And I was like, crap,
I had a
crap,
therapist
crap,
who let
crap.
me hit things with a pillow.
Oh yeah. Oh, there were moments like even my therapist was like, Tina, I see that you're holding back in your EMDR right now. I can see your because like one of the things she was mentioning is like you
Mhm.
say you're angry, but you're not showing anger in you. And I'm like, oh. And then like when I finally did, then I'm like, oh, that's what I mean. Like I was screaming, I was yelling because usually I don't
But
yell. I tend to suppress my anger a lot. Just say I'm angry. And
yeah.
that's it. And then I'm not showing it. You
All
know,
my
it's
Asian friends are, I don't mean to be racist to Jason, internet, please don't get mad at me. I'm a middle-aged white lady. I'm sorry. But like I love all my Asian friends they're very well mannered. It's a wonderful part of the culture. But right, they're not the most emotional people sometimes.
yeah.
They
And then
don't
we
eat
do, and
their
then
omelet.
and if we do get angry, it's like you're what do you call it? You're showing like a family, like how you work as a person, it represents your parents and your
Yeah,
family. So it's kind of you were saying what you're saying earlier with your dad. It's like what you did represented that he is a bad father, but he's not. It's just your choices.
yeah,
Like mine, like it's my choices, but it reflects my family too.
yeah. That's a burden, right?
Yes,
Because
it is. Yeah.
you're like, dude, I didn't even ask to be born. Why do I have to carry that? And I know
Yes.
it's because they can suffer the costs of shame, and I get it.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I know like living for your parents isn't fair to you. Like you're just
Yes.
here, they fucked, and here you are. You didn't even
It's like
ask.
I was born. That was it. That's all I did. I didn't do shit.
Like, yeah, thanks a lot. You didn't pull out, Dad, and I gotta be in hell for 80 years. I'm
Yeah.
kidding. Not always have, but like, but yeah, I do think trauma can produce resilience if we
Perseverance and just a lot of courage in it. It does.
I hope so. I mean, some of the most wounded people I know, they still love, they still try to trust, they're still doing great things. They have great stories out of it. Sometimes the most painful things can produce the best stories.
Yeah.
Um, and I just, yeah, I think that beast energy. I've taken martial arts to get some of it out, a bag class, Krav Maga. I like those rage rooms. You have one in San
Oh,
Diego.
yes,
Are
we
those?
do. Yes.
They're so fun. You can break stuff. They're fun. Uh,
Yes. I
and
yeah.
yeah,
I
and
also I think it's kind of like tying to like when we have trauma, it's giving ourselves grace and patience, really. Because if we don't give us ourselves that, the resilience, the perseverance, the courage to just live our life will just always be in the shadows.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you. I watched a lot of your stuff and like stepping up and doing open mic, dude. I would be terrified. I would cry. Good job. I would never. Um,
Thank you.
but yeah, when I was broken young, I tried to be a stripper. I went to the club. Of course, they hired me. I was cute, but like I got on stage and 3 minutes, I stood up there. I did not dance. I would not take anything off. These guys were looking at me. I got down and went to my locker and quit. Because the audience thing, I never, porn, acting, modeling, I like it because there's like four people on set.
Yeah.
That's like, I mean, yeah, standing up in front of people, I can do it virtually, but Yeah. And I do some writing and some speaking, and that's a sort of easier way to tell one story. But I just don't think I think being a beast, as you call it, it's not the absence of vulnerability.
No,
It's not about not being afraid. It's about being afraid and
doing it
a
anyways.
beast anyway, as they say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, being a beast anyway, and then giving yourself grace
Yeah, and
for
it
that.
opens up the path for other people. So,
Yeah,
um,
but
thanks
yeah.
for the stories you tell. It's really important.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Thank you for sharing your story and everything that your knowledge. It's amazing.
It's
It's
alive.
it's
I
alive and it's also, it's a story that you went through and I appreciate you being here with us doing that.
I look forward to the old lady bog witch years. I'll be on the Upper East Side with a little dog and old lady friends. It'll be great.
Yeah.
And I would tell people to choose something else if you're broken young, because even if you survive it, like I mostly have with some scars, it's not. It's too hard. It's just, choose something else.
Yeah.
I don't know, get some digital skills or something. I don't know. But but for
Yeah.
those who are in it, I want them to survive. And so the idea of humanizing one of us is to show the world that whether you hate it or not, we're just people.
Yeah. And just doing our best what we can to, like you said, to survive, right? Yeah. To
Yeah.
so thank you, Amy. With that being said, what is your takeaway for the audience today?
Um, yeah, for you guys listening to this, I love that you're interested in a podcast about courage. I love that you're interested in a podcast that centers women. My takeaway would be, yeah, keep being courageous in your own way, whatever you've been through, whatever in the quiet of the night, when you're listening to that little head in your voice, only like what brave things you still want to do. And you are here, you're alive, like go do it. You can always pivot if you failed. I failed at a zillion things. It's fine. And nobody cares. But your courage, which I think you guys are interested in courage because you're listening and watching this, go do it. Be brave. That's where the juice is. And the more brave you are, the more you can then be brave and go, yeah, I did that thing. I did that, bitch. I can do this, bitch. Like,
Yes.
so, yeah, my takeaway would be go boldly, be brave. Nobody's watching. They got their own problems.
Yeah.
And if they are, you might give them the chance to try to be brave too. You don't know who you can touch and affect, either online or offline. So yeah, as Tina says, be a beastie.
Thank you for listening in. If you enjoy our conversation and want to know more about Amy Taylor, please look in the description for more information and for the links. Also, please leave a review wherever you're listening and look out for new episodes every Tuesday on The Courageous Inner Beast.